I'm going to have two lines of questioning here. One is about the industry itself. I've been a proponent since I've been here because I come from the realm of full competition, price transparency, markets that have hundreds of players in them. I know it's not your bailiwick, so to speak, but do you feel comfortable where you'd have three companies that control 98% of the supply of baby formula, and when it comes from the specialty formula, 75% by one company, Abbott? Is that a good place to be, and how much of that concentration is due to regulations and the involvement of FDA along the way? It's kind of a broad question, but...
Well, I'll give two. I mean, there's a short answer to the first part of your question. No, I'm not comfortable. It's not good for the country to have such an undiversified supply chain and manufacturing chain for a critical product like that that's used by so many people. I don't think FDA regulation is at the basis of that. Anyone who meets the criteria within the U.S. or outside the U.S. that wants to import can bring formula into that market. We don't restrict the market, and we have absolutely no control over the market.
So I think that just I want to be on record that that is not a free market. That's an oligopoly minimally. It's a monopoly very nearly. So, and that's not only the case in baby formula manufacturing, it's a case in a lot of our ag markets, our broader healthcare markets for sure. And something has got to be done if we're not going to have issues like this, even if a company does pretty well most of the time. Got a question about the WIC program. Is there a peculiarity where on anything that goes into it can only be gotten from one company, or in that particular, which I think is about 50% of where baby formula goes, is that something that the FDA has directed, or am I off base that that's even part of the way the system works?
The WIC program is run by the Department of Agriculture, so it's completely outside of the scope of the FDA.
Okay, so I'll deal with that with the Ag Department. Let's look at the timetable of when it looked like things were heading in the wrong direction. Of course, we shut down so much of the supply chain, I think in a misguided way along the way, but there were cues, a year ahead when it went up to 8 to 10%. Senator Scott mentioned that, it got up to where it was close to 50% of not having the right amount of inventory on shelves. And I think that part of that time when this all occurred, including the dust-up with Abbott, Dr. Woodcock was in charge. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then haven't you appointed Dr. Woodcock to now be the troubleshooter kind of on this? Or is that,
no,
she's back, is she back in the program or working for the FDA?
Well, she's the principal deputy. She's a career FDA employee who's...
well, I think that would beg the question when you had somebody that was there when most of the problem occurred, about midway through at least the Abbott issue, how it makes sense that she'd be back in. But let's look at...
Sir, if I may, we did appoint someone else to oversee the look back at decisions that were made there. Steve Solomon, who's not working under Dr. Woodcock in this capacity.
Let's get back to the incident itself. So roughly, first of all, Abbott was vindicated on the particulars, the merits of the issue. They had no contribution to those sicknesses, correct?
With all due respect, I wouldn't use the word vindicated. We can't say with certainty that the cause was there, but it's so rare to have 4 cases of Chronobacter, all from the same...
But you haven't been able to connect the dots, and they may still be in that position to where there was culpability.
That's correct.
Why did it take roughly 2 months after 9 to 10 months of the formula shortage saying that, hey, we better be on full alert, to actually get through the particular issue itself? And then once you seem to come up with an idea that there was not a connection, at least in the short run analysis, that it took another couple months, and then at that time, the shelves were empty to get Abbott back in the business of doing what they were doing.
We saw the lack of quality in the system and the lack of accountability for the problems that were there, and so we had to invoke the Justice Department to negotiate a consent decree, which is essentially Abbott saying, yes, we had all these problems, here's exactly what we're going to do to fix them. For legal reasons, I can't discuss the exact details of the negotiation, but let's just say that it took a little arm wrestling to get to the point where the Justice Department got Abbott to sign the consent decree.
Well, I think it's clear that we got too many eggs in one basket when it comes to producing the stuff. And I think it's also clear that it got caught in a regulatory morass that took more time than what was necessary, and now we're dealing with it after the fact.
We completely agree it took too long, and I also want to agree with Senator Scott that we're not trying to blame everybody else. We have our own issues, which I think are clearly laid out in the documents that we've given you, and we will be accountable for fixing those going forward.
Thank you.